Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film.
This week, we head to the Riga front in Latvia with Dzintars Dreiberg's 2019 epic Blizzard of Souls. As always, we've got Mike A.
Hello.
Nathan.
What's up?
And myself, Mike B. This week, Brian has succumbed to the frozen tundra, but is recovering and should be back with us in no time. So, let's get started on our opening thoughts, guys. Nate, you go first. What do you think?
No, I guess to start it very bluntly, I liked it. I actually liked it a lot. There are some cliches in it of, kind of what we see in every kind of World War I war movie, but overall, no, I really liked it. I had a lot of it was weird. It hit a feeling I don't think I've felt from a war movie in a while, in terms of I think the key notes they wanted to hit in, I guess, emotion. I felt like they did a really good job presenting that. And then there's some things that are so cliche, like riding a bicycle and falling off and throwing horse poop at each other and all that other kind of stuff. Like, it's I get it. You're trying to put a thing of innocence, and then you got to kill the dog for him to, like, fuck the mom, but kill the dog. No, fucking nah. Can't stand that
Have
shit.
you seen John Wick?
Yeah.
Don't kill people's dogs.
Yeah.
Nate, did you just say fuck the mom,
Fuck the mom, kill the dog? I did. Yes, I did. But in that context, not that,
No, that's not.
Yeah.
Entirely.
I say in the sense of, like, you killed the parents in the thing. I'm like,
Yeah,
but you
whatever.
kill the dog, and I feel something. What does that say about me and my oversaturation of war movies? Anyway, my point is that it just, I think there were some things they nailed really well, and some things that I think are just cliche, or what we call cliche, I think, in our group. But I thoroughly enjoyed it all the way around, and there were a lot of things that reminded me of Unknown Soldier 2019, of the same kind of year. The shots, the not the effects or whatever, but just kind of the shot placement, the cinematography, the effects in a way. And I feel like that has to do with the region of artists in that area, I feel like, because Latvia is closer to Finland than most places. But I really, really did enjoy the movie overall, but we can jump into more of that later. Mike A, do you want me to hand over to Mike B so you can finish eating popcorn, or are we?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I
I caught you on a gulp, so that's why.
Thank you. Yeah, that was perfect timing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mixed on this one. That had some things in it that I thought were good, but then also things that, like, I did, like, the right away, like, the movie did not have me with its opening scene, and it's All Quiet on the Western Front. Like, it's kind of the same thing. It has different things in it, where it has more personal stuff, like family and stuff like that in it. But it's kind of that, but I don't think for me anyway, seen a World War I film about this particular front.
Me either.
Yeah. So that was interesting to see, and the different environments, as opposed to, like, the French, torn up no man's land and all that stuff. And this is slightly different, as there's more, like, forests and things like that. And a lot of really good, like, imagery, and stuff like that. But like I say, I'm kind of mixed on it. Also, I watched on accident. I watched the dubbed version, and it was bad. Like, I don't know if they got the actors to do the English dub, but, like, there was zero energy in it, and I just kind of, like,
dude, you know the rule. You know the rule. You never watch dubbed movies. Ever.
I didn't mean to, dude. But, like,
you should have asked. I would have fucking given you the fucking.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And, like, that'll be good because you got a slightly different experience,
right?
Nate and I did. So yeah, it's fun.
Right, but like I say, it's some stuff where I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, that's neat. But then at the same time, I'm like, I get it. Like it's all quiet on the Western Front.
God.
It's the same kind of thing.
I'm just laughing what you said about the dub version. I thought when he was roid raging, smashing a dude's head with a 2x4, I'm like, that's bad even with the natural voice and everything. I can't even imagine what that, with the.
It was comical, dude.
Oh,
I should
my
try
God.
and find clips or send them to you.
Yeah,
'cause
you'll have to. Yeah, I'd like to see what that sounds like.
Yeah, for all you listening, it's not like, I mean, if you're looking for a so bad it's good kind of thing, that's the way to go. But like, if you really want to take this movie seriously, probably watch the original with subtitles.
Yes.
Yeah. So
oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, otherwise we'll get something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, coming right out of the gate, yeah, had some interesting things in it. Definitely not a terrible movie, but also not blown away by it.
I would love to know if the real language would change that for you.
It might.
Not that I'm like trying to push you over the positive end. I'm just, for me, when I hear someone has watched something in dub but hasn't watched it in the original language,
yeah,
for me personally,
makes you cringe.
It hurts me because I feel like you lose a lot of the performance with dubbed audio.
Like I said, going in, I didn't realize that. Then when they started talking, I said, "Oh God, no!" And then I was like, "You know what? I'm already here. I've already paid for it."
You're fucking committed.
Oh, you paid for it? Okay.
You committed.
I paid for it. I didn't know it was on Tubby or Tubi.
Okay.
I call it Tubby, but
Tubby. It'd be double P's, man.
I know. No, Tubby. Yeah.
Or double
B-B-I.
sorry, double B's, not double P's.
I know. I just like to call it that because I'm a funny little guy. But
Jesus Christ.
But anywho, so yeah, I might give it a second chance if I ever get a chance to watch the original voice version.
Yeah,
Like-
that's fine. No, I actually I did watch a version with subtitles, and I still agree with you. I'm very mixed on this, is because there were some things that were actually very fucking well done.
Mm-hmm.
Very well done. And then it was just, there were things that even with just reading subtitles and everything, I don't know Latvian, I don't know Russian. They were intermixing it. I could tell when they were speaking Russian a little bit, but like Latvian is again different than Russian. And that, I don't know if it made that much of a difference. Like as far as like Nate was saying, like if you watch it dubbed versus subtitles, I don't know. Even though, well, actually, no. Okay, I take that back. Because dubbing always gets it wrong. It's just terrible, and it just doesn't line up.
Subtitles are wrong, but at least you're not affecting the performance, I feel like.
Yeah.
Correct. And at least their mouth is moving with what they're saying, right? Yeah, so, yeah, I retract that statement. But here's the thing is, like, the actual content itself, there was a lot of what I thought was really good, and there was a lot of just cliche... what I would call European scenes. And if you're a European listener of this, it's nothing bad. It's just different than what the US is used to, because of the fact that like so many scenes in this film were very like raw. They were like very fucking holy shit. They actually did research. They actually got it. The props, for the most part, that I saw, and I will just preface this with this: I'm not an Eastern Front expert by any means. I am a very basic bitch knower of the Eastern Front in general and the First World War and the technology that was used, the equipment that was used. I know a little bit about the Imperial Russian Army and their, subsidiary states, the Baltic states and everything, like Belarus and everything, which didn't exist at that point. But I know a little bit about that. I'm not an expert. So I'm not going to comment totally on that, but the actual action, and we'll get into this. This is going to be really fun. The weaponry, the story itself, we'll also talk about that. But overall, again, like Mike A said, I have mixed emotions about this, mixed feelings about like the film itself. It wasn't spectacular and it wasn't shitty. It's just somewhere in there, and I think we can actually try to get there. In this podcast. So
you had said something that is it okay if I go, Nate, real fast? You had said something that's very interesting, and I want you to kind of elaborate on or give an example at least. You said there are lots of things in here that are very European. What are some things like that that are very European?
Just the love story, going and drinking with chicks. I get it. No, that did happen. It's not that it didn't happen. It's just the way it's presented, I guess, is
Yeah,
European. And it's like, remember we did Shershaw,
yeah,
and we were like, a lot of this is very Indian.
yeah, yes.
It didn't make it a shitty film. It just was like, yeah, it was like there's a lot
It's
of like
Bollywood.
very aspects, like when they're not actually out there, that they took of liberty, and that's fine. It's not that I'm ragging on it for that. It's just like, I think they took and American films do this too, of course, but like it takes too long in these scenes of non-action, not at the front, and I think they could have cut that down a lot. And I know I'm ending that with an up thing, like a question, because I am actually questioning it, like thinking about it, like, could they have? Yes, but it's like, what specifically? I actually don't know, and that's where the European kind of thing. Like, I was bored at times in this film, but I don't know exactly why or what should have been caught, because it's all relevant, but it's just the way it was presented was just a little bit too long for my personal liking. But again, it's totally subjective. It's not good or bad. It's just, it is what it is. And yeah, I'm being a fence sitter too, which is very fun. But like, that's what I mean by European approach, like kind of this adding more things. Nate.
Well, like, I suffer from the same thing with Unknown Soldier, where there are a lot of lulls. Not that it needs to be action all the time, or everything needs to be intense all the time, or there needs to be conflict all the time. You can have lulls. I feel like with Unknown Soldier, though, its lulls have meaning and has reason. There is a cadence.
There you go.
There is a cadence to it.
Yes.
And I feel like this copies that cadence. However, I feel like some of the scenes you could cut a little bit of X, Y, and Z and still have that cadence, just not as long. But to me, it didn't detract. Like, I understood why they did it, and I understand the pacing of it. But even I skipped at him like getting like married like near the end. I was just like, okay, I gotta finish this. I was like, it's not that I don't want to like watch it. I liked the movie. I just was like, okay, my kid needs to have time on the Xbox, and I need to fucking like, do this because I'm kicking her out for the recording later. So I gotta fucking speed this up. Like, that's like, but it's.
You skip over the stuff that you already know.
I know
what's
he's gonna marry
happen.
her or like promise himself to her.
or
I'm like,
bang her or
okay,
something.
yeah. It's like, okay, skip, like done. Like, it's just fine. But it's just there's a cadence to it, and European movies tend to have that cadence.
And it was a lot of really quick, and then I'll let you go on.
Yeah.
It's just, what I was saying is, like, it's a lot of the romance kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when they're doing the lulls, it's like this romance shit, and it's like, does it have to take that long? That was my concern.
Oh yeah, because
you're not my concern really, but like,
yeah, because Europeans aren't afraid of tits and dick in the movie, so they'll fucking do it. Unless
a lot of male asses,
dude.
Yeah, running into
Dude.
the ocean.
If you're a chick or a gay dude, man, this movie's for you.
I saw some back ball running around there, like it was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
swinging.
You can tell the older guys, man. It's like putting a puppet in front of a backlight, just.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's definitely.
Awesome.
Nate's fantasizing right now. He's getting in his zone. He's getting in his zone.
No, like no, it was. I thought the cinematography. I guess if we want to jump into cinematography and stuff through the whole thing,
let's do that.
I mean, like, I liked it a lot. There was a lot of really good cinematography in it. It reminded me of. I'm gonna reference it for the last time because I'll keep calling back to it otherwise. Unknown Soldier is a really good cinematography, good cadence, good editing, and it reminded me very much of that framing and that kind of still shot of and All Quiet on the Western Front does that as well, but they do it in a different sense. but I liked the cadence, the pacing, the editing. I like the effects. You can tell some of them are a little a little rough, but not horrible, dude.
But they're actually really good.
I've seen a whole lot worse CG in more expensive movies. Like they did a really good job.
Well, they did a lot of practicals. Did you agree?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
100%. They barely did CG. If they did, it was
Yeah.
for good reason, and
Yeah.
it was a good marriage of the two.
Mhm.
Nothing like
Yep.
really kind of was horrible. Like it was really good. I will say I loved to call back to the last one we did in this order. We did Siege of Jadotville last week, and one of the big problems we had with that, that movie was battle physics, like stuff not passing through objects, very much like bulletproof plot devices, just stuff like that, and that's fine. But with this, I I hate to say I cheered, but I was just like, oh, that's like that. Like I literally went ooh when
So did I.
when the
Yes.
kid is hiding behind the same small tree and the bullet goes right through the tree and hits him in the head, because it's exactly what it would do, because you have this false sense of cover when you're in trees like
Yes.
that. And when we do reenacting, everyone hides behind a fucking tree, and it bothers me to
Yeah.
no end. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just it's
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
my 30-06 would go right through that fucking tree, but okay. You know, I look at that, and that's not really portrayed in movies, or at least you don't see impacts like that with people hiding behind trees like that getting hit. And I found that very cool because you don't see that.
Yes.
And I'm sorry I keep calling back to it, but it really is a comparison. Unknown Soldier does that to a certain extent as well within the battle scenes of the same kind of like forest. And I think the really interesting part about this movie is that we don't normally see World War One movies kind of out of a trench moving to stuff. I mean, we do, but like, you know, they
But
charge
it's always
the
the
base.
trench.
It's always the
static
trench, yeah.
shit. Yeah.
And they charge over
Yep.
the base through that really cool. Now I'll dump into that later. We'll talk about that later when we get to equipment, I think. But that whole like charge to the open field and cutting the gate and doing that, and the showing the sliding and the stuff, like the cinematography for those one shots, and I use one shots with quotation because most of the time they're not really one shots, they're just really well edited together, is that they are very well done in this. And I thought that the pyro, the CG impacts, I'll tell you one thing that threw me for a loop was a Maxim gun in a fucking tree. That was
I wanted to mention that.
that threw me for a fucking loop.
Let's just go through the good
Like
right
it
now.
can happen, but I never fucking. Oh, you can. Yes, it could happen, but would it happen a lot?
Again,
no.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I thought it was a cool tumble. How about that?
You were onto something about the actual practical effects of like.
Oh, that was all
what
CG.
it would
But
be.
yeah.
No. Like you were like he gets hit through the tree. Okay, that's a practical thing.
Yeah.
That's like it's
even
gonna
their
happen.
charges in the ground were really well done, I thought too.
So yes, they were really quick. Mike, can I just say one thing?
Yeah. Cool.
All right, cool. One of the weirdest things that stuck out that I thought was very fucking well done is when the main character, Arturs, is in the trench. He's fighting. He's like not wanting to stab, and he's like stabbing. And all of a sudden he gets hit by who knows who, and he hits his head against the trench wall, and he's just, it's out.
I like that.
But it was so quick. It was like, bah! Down.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was really cool because it's realistic. Like, imagine yourself in that scenario. Like, you're in this fight, and all of a sudden you're out cold because your head, and they actually, I don't know how the fuck they did that, but like, did they have the wall just be super soft? Because it looked like he hit his head really fucking hard.
It was probably foam rubber or something, yeah.
But like, it would bounce, but like, it
I'm
looked
sure
really
there's
real.
I'm sure there's some good trickery in that. Yeah.
Yeah, like whoever did that was like, because that was really like, I was like, oh shit.
I did like
yeah.
I guess to skip back to that sequence is that I did like how they filmed it out of his perspective, and the hesitation, the fact that he didn't really stab the kid got pushed into his bayonet, which I thought was interesting as well. You know, again, it's a lot of tasteful showing the antis of war and all that kind of stuff. It broke the cliche, but didn't. It kind of revamped the cliche, I feel like, to me. But that's just my take on it. Mike, go.
Well, that's what we started talking about, something that I really did want to mention.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
was that the deaths? Most of the deaths in this are very like just matter of fact. They don't feel. They're just like wham. It's like that. They don't feel ostentatiously theatrical or anything like that, and I like that part of it, to where
Yep.
it's not like, you know, cut to the shot where someone gets shot or something like that. You just, it's like, and then someone falls over.
That is very true.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
all
like- I
all the
like that.
characters were like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I like that a lot about it. And that trench scene, like, I don't know if trench infiltration would necessarily happen that way. I don't know. But
We can talk about that, but yeah.
right. That part I liked a lot. Some of the hits in that scene, like, felt. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like,
No, they actually they had to have hit each other.
yeah, like there's a part where the guy's in the background and you see someone club someone with his rifle.
And then, but you see the recoil of the head, and it's a
Yeah.
person. It's not a prop.
Right,
It's
yeah.
not a dummy.
And I was like, damn,
And I'm
that was
like, that's
real.
how it would fucking look. Like that's
Yeah.
It was like
And that it's, I
That-
think it's
that-
that same scene.
yeah.
The guy grabs the wire cutters and beats.
Yeah,
the
he grabs
fuck
the
out
ball
of
and starts
someone.
hitting him with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and the one German guy comes up to the Russian guy or Latvian guy. All right, we're just gonna say Russian because they're the Imperial Russian Army. But he goes up and he goes like this, and then the fucking I forgot what they're called, like the beams that go across.
his
the top of
hand
the,
hits it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the E-tool hits it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, shit. And then all of a sudden he gets stabbed
Mhm.
or something. It's like, yeah, that's something you're not thinking about because you're just a pure adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, shit. No, they did that really actually pretty well.
I like
in
that.
my
I like
opinion.
that fog scene too. I liked how they showcased how lost.
Oh
you
yes!
get in that,
Yeah,
too.
dude. Like, and the way that those really thin trees looked and everything, like that. Oh,
It's a marsh.
yeah.
Yeah.
It looked
Yep.
really good. I loved that part, just from
Yeah.
like a cinematic, point of view.
It's creepy.
They
Yeah.
did
And it's like,
again, like they did a really good job with showcasing this. I feel like where I think it's gonna go low on us again. I think it's the cadence and just maybe some of the presentation, but like to me personally, I love the way they bound up tension and released it either crescendo like there. That's not even a word, but you get my point. In one big wha-bam,
Yeah,
or
no,
they
for sure.
slowly release the spring. I was not ready for the Reds stuff at the end.
no, I wasn't either. So
Yeah.
here's what I'll say really quick, and then I'm pretty sure we'll just get your guys' opinion. I think the beginning fell flat.
Mm-hmm.
The middle,
Best part.
the actual middle of the film,
Best part.
they really fucking killed it.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but like they killed it. And then at the end, it was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so, would you guys agree with that?
Yeah,
or-
it's like this communism is bad message.
Yeah, I would. That came. Well, okay. This also plays into. We were talking about the stuff that's European, like very European stuff. Another thing that's very European in European war movies is the deserter, like the whole thing of the guy like who leaves the war, and
Well, but it actually did happen quite. a
I
bit.
understand it happened, but like it
Yeah.
is a thing that you always see in these, like that.
You're correct.
Right,
Yes.
I think
And
it,
we-
it comes down to that cliche conversation that we started with.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And at that point, I was kind of like, oh, it kind of just came out of nowhere. It seemed like it was a different like plot, or something that was introduced in the movie. Didn't hate
Right,
it.
I didn't see it either. Like I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Because- okay. So was I just seeing shit, or like at the end of after they were talking about Lenin's gonna fucking do this and that, and people were kind of deciding. Was he not writing in that notebook or whatever the fuck 1919?
I saw that, yeah, and I was like, what? Yeah, I saw it said 1919 on the bottom.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so the revolution, the official revolution started in April of 1917.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Revolution took place in October 1917. They never actually give us a timestamp.
Okay.
They said
Okay.
19
So you guys
well,
were
they said 1916, winter of 1916.
you guys were
which
confused
is-
about the timeline like I was then.
Yes,
I had no
Yes.
idea when the fuck this was because I missed the beginning title
Yeah.
sequence because I was
Well, they
grabbing.
said 1915. They said 1915
I was
at the
grabbing
very
a
beginning.
drink, and so I missed that whole part. So yeah, okay.
Yes. So they said 1915 at the beginning, which is fine because that's the Russians were definitely mobilized in 1915 and it was a bloodbath. Yeah, please look it up. And then it says when they're doing the winter scenes, which we should also talk about because those were actually pretty fucking cool in my opinion. They said winter of 1916. So is that January or is that December? Like, you know what I mean? Like it didn't make any sense. Like as far as the timestamps were concerned, maybe because I can't read Cyrillic, I don't understand. But also, even so, if we're jumping to December of 16, we just missed a whole fucking year of like what they were doing. So how would that make sense? You know, like, okay, but yeah, it's just it was very confusing as far as that's concerned.
It was a little clumsy in that respect.
Yeah.
So no, I'd agree. But let's see, what are some other good things about it?
The good things were when they were actually training.
I thought that was interesting. They're using just wood, like just pieces of wood. Yeah.
That's not just the Russian military. Like people did that and they still do it.
Mm.
The U.S. military still does that and says bang and whatever because of shortages and whatever. Don't tell anybody that, but like, but no, still like that. That's very accurate, and it's like, okay, his dad was a retired sergeant major, probably served in the Russo-Japanese War in 1905, right? If you think about it, that's probably where he had experience from. And he gets in there, and then he kind of that whole storyline kind of pissed me off because it's like the guy's a sergeant major. They're not going to let him go out and use a fucking K-98 from World War II.
Oh, was
1936.
Was that a World War II
Brian.
K-98? I couldn't tell.
That wasn't a G-98.
Oh no,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
We'll go
I
through.
thought
IMFDB.
so. I was looking at it going, that looks like a World War II rifle, but okay, that's fine. I'm sure we'll see a lot of things. And I mean, this is the whole reason why we go through this before we give our score is that I don't know about you guys, but your guys' input does affect my score when I like near the at the end.
Vice versa. Yeah,
like,
it affects everybody.
Yeah.
So it's and you know the K-98 was adopted by the German military in 1936. Brian.
It's not fair. He's not here. He's not here to fucking defend it. So hey.
Well, I had a cough, Nate. I didn't say anything. I said the K-98 was introduced and used in World War II by the German military. Okay, that's all I said. I didn't say any dates or anything. I just had this cough going on. Anyway, but anyway, so even still, like you'll see later, and like that whole storyline pissed me off because like his dad could have been a good sergeant major, which he was portraying, like, hey, this is how we have to train, this is what you have to do, blah blah blah. And then they just kind of went off on that, which is also a European thing. We're gonna go off on a weird tangent, you know, and like be a hipster with this guy. Okay,
I guess
whatever.
they
But,
made him a sniper to be proud
Yeah.
because of how old he was, but then also the fact that his son died, so he turned into a sniper. Like,
well,
I
he
was a
thought
little
his son died,
right. No, I know that. I'm just like,
and the notches in the stock. It's like,
yeah.
It's a little
That-
I
video
mean, really,
gamey.
how many fucking guys did that? I'm sure they did, definitely, but it's like, really?
It's a very
You got-
like cinematic, cool kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And so that kind of shit was like, I'm like, come on. But anyway, no, like the good things were those winter scenes. So we're gonna assume that this is the January 1916 kind of offensive that they launched at that front. And now, so I will comment on this. The German defenses and the big ass like wooden bunkers they had and shit, very fucking accurate. To the Eastern Front in general. Because it was a very mobile front and they didn't have time to pour concrete. They didn't have the labor to do it. They didn't have the materials, of course. And so they would just make these big ass wooden bunkers and these big ass wooden lines with barbed wire and shit like that they could secure. That was really fucking cool.
It was very cool. Yeah.
Because yeah, it's not like the Western Front. It's a totally different fucking it's a totally different theater of operations. And it's like, yeah, that was really fucking cool. Whoever did that paid a lot of attention to detail with history, and I do appreciate that. That was awesome.
Apparently, there's a book based in 1934. It says based on the 1934 novel "Blizzards of Soul" by, oh god, I'm going to butcher this. Alexander's Grins. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pronounce that fucking shit to save my life.
I probably couldn't pronounce it
Yeah.
much better either.
Yeah.
Sorry, Latvians. We're not insulting you personally.
Dzintars
We're just
Dreiberg.
Americans. Actually, most Latvians that I've met, Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, they have a good sense of humor, and they know that like
their language
it's-
is fucking hard.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
You get up to Finland and it's even worse. It's like Jesus Christ, man. But it was based on a novel from 1934.
Yeah, that's what it says on here on the
Was that a Latvian author?
I don't know, I can look them up. It just says it. I looked up the actual website for the film and it has like a whole like thing about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
Yeah.
I was trying to find like a synapse written by like kind of like a cliff note thing of the story, but I can't seem to find anything really.
Yeah. It'd be pretty tough because like
Wikipedia barely gives me a timeline, and I'm trying to find the timeline that we were talking about earlier, but I can't seem to find it. So
one thing that I did notice, or a couple things that I noticed in that winter scene, is those guys were basically playing the role of sappers, which are like trying to clear the wire. And did you notice the Bangalore torpedo that they put out?
yes,
And then he lit it
on a ski.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was on a ski to
And
push
so
it. Yeah.
it's like, okay, they've got this barbed wire out there, which is not unrealistic because everybody thinks of the Western Front where it's just like tangled. There's just so much shit thrown out there. It's been blown up so many times. It's a mess. The Eastern Front was very mobile. It was very, you had trenches, but as you saw in the film, they weren't like established. They were kind of like temporary trenches where one side, the Germans actually dug in more like they did on the Western Front. And that's why they had a hard time doing this. But like, so the Germans also had a supply problem at that point, especially in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And they would only have so much barbed wire. So they're like, okay, we're going to cut this. We're going to get through this. And we're going to blow up the main line. And we're going to have like a fucking line through this barbed wire to do the assault the night before. And they also had these like, those shields, those little like
I didn't like
shields.
those. I thought that was complete and utter horse shit, but I don't know. I'm sure they're real, but to me, knowing the dynamics of a fucking Maxim, I'm like, there's no at least okay. How do I say it so that sounded like a complete and utter turd? They didn't. To me, they looked like the bottom end of aluminum chairs that they had dumped out. And I understand they were real things like that actually did that. But to me, in that essence, I'm like, no fucking way.
It was the props
It's
for
a
you.
peace of mind thing.
Yeah, it's like I've seen what a Maxim gun does to metal like that. It fucking punches right through. And no fucking way would that be able to take the impact and not this is very nitpicky, but if you're gonna have a fucking thing of metal, show that fucking metal moving, ricocheting, whatever. There's no way it can be dung in and deflected like that and just being like the invincible fucking pile of bricks from Jadetville. Like that's
Right.
And I think that might be why it fucking irked me so much. It's like, okay, week 2 of fucking immovable fucking objects for a 8mm round from a fucking Maxim gun. Come on, like what the fuck? Like that did irk me, and I was like, okay, all right, you had me until you put the bottom of an aluminum chair in front of you and blocked bullets.
So here's the thing: is I know why they probably did that in this film is because guys would literally do that kind of shit.
Oh yeah,
for peace of mind.
Yeah.
They were all uniform though, which is kind of weird. But like, they might have literally, like back in the day in World War I, like on all fronts. This happened on all fronts with armor. This is like they would just take anything they could possibly get for peace of mind. So that in real life, that could have just been a fucking Maxim shield that they had acquired.
I thought that's what that was originally, and then but it had like a little rifle slit on the bottom of it.
It's but they also could have made those. Who knows? But they would actually have troops like assault troops and like sapper troops have these things for peace of mind, and it's just a lot more weight they have to carry with them. But like they would do that. But yes, the practical effect of the rounds bouncing off of them, fuck.
I think that's what irks me the most. I mean, because look, we watched that Italian World War I movie.
Many wars ago.
Many wars ago. I think it was also us three on that, and there was fucking triangle heads. Like, I'm not gonna mock. I'm not gonna say it wasn't real. I'm sure they absolutely had that, but I think it's the representation of that piece of equipment that makes me go, okay, like, as a consumer of media,
100%.
not the fact that it existed, not the fact that they used them. I think it's just the way they used them as a plot device, I think, is what irks me. And I think that's what that is.
Yep.
So,
and that's thing is like they didn't use it right.
Yeah,
you can use it. You can use it. That's just fine. But like, show that it didn't work.
Yeah, if those guys have put it up there and it's like, okay, it gets like kicked around and instantly gets like ping, and then the guy gets like wrecked.
Well, yeah, the guy ping into his fucking head and blows over his body.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Oh shit! Now I'm exposed and I've got more rounds coming. Yeah, okay. So that I get that. Cool touch again, like the triangle heads on many wars ago. However, yeah, dude, if you have that thing like in the snow and a fucking 7.92 by 57 millimeter hits you out of a fucking Maxim, it's gonna flip over you. It's gonna fly. Do you want to know how I know? Because I've shot steel targets and they do that shit if they're not secured correctly. And also if it didn't bounce, it's gonna go right through and it's gonna fragment. And it's still gonna hit you, and then you're gonna get shards from the shield in your body, not on your body.
And I know they have it. I know because someone's gonna comment on it.
It's angled.
I know it was at an angle.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. The energy's got to go somewhere. So even if it doesn't shatter, it's gotta fucking move. So again, I think it's just
even if that's fucking half-inch AR-500, something's gonna give.
I think it's just the representation of how it was perceived in the movie. I think that's what we're harping on.
Which is fine.
Yeah, not that rounds could actually be stopped. Not that the round they didn't fucking use.
But it was the peace of mind.
Yeah,
like wearing a helmet. Wearing a helmet. It's a peace of mind.
I don't care if someone uses it in a film and uses it, but I want it to have. It doesn't have to go ping and fly across the world. That's not what I mean. I want more battle physics represented.
And I agree with you 100%.
In an idea like that if you're going to fucking use it. I think that's
correct. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Now, moving forward in that, so they got the Bangalore, they got it set up. The one guy gets shot. We don't know if it's through the shield or whatever. He gets hit. He lights the cigarette, or he keeps puffing on it, lights the fucking fuse miraculously, which definitely is plausible. The thing goes off, and then these guys actually get up and assault this line. It's a wall, Now, when they get up to the wall, that's where it gets really fucking interesting with the details and their advisor, because they get up to the wall and they start sliding down because it's inclined. It's packed snow that they intentionally did so that you can't just climb the wall. You're going to slide down. So what do they start doing? They take their bayonets and their knives and they start fucking carving out like steps.
All while being literally cut down by the Maxims, which are...
No, well, they're out of the arc of the Maxim. Well, yes.
No, the guys before. That's what I mean. Before, I mean, like, that whole battle sequence past the shield past, other than other than maybe the Maxim guy falling out of the tree, I loved it. All of it.
That was after this, right?
Yeah.
That was after this. Yeah. So, so it's like, okay, and the guy, like, he actually notices, like, okay, because they're doing this shit. They're doing the sweeping right to left, left to right with the Maxim, because they've only got so much traverse in that fortification, right? And so he goes, okay, I'm gonna give him a move, and then I'm gonna start digging out. After they started slipping, I'm gonna start digging out steps, basically, really quick, hasty steps. With my bayonet, which they would have had affixed, which is also a good touch in the film. And so they do that, then they get over the fucking wall.
Dude, even getting over the wall, though, those guys getting shot in the face, point blank.
Yeah.
Like the guys who actually dig steps and they take one little head pop over and pow.
Yep.
Like, just, I mean, fucking awesome. It was... Okay, let me rephrase. It was fucking awesome in the sense of the representation of it, not the fact that the guy got his brains blown out. Let me just clarify that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
No actors were hurting them.
Yeah.
That we know of.
Yeah.
That we know of. Legal disclaimer.
Yeah. So like, but that whole the accurate representation of all this stuff happening was really, really cool. And then even like when he came through, he throws that grenade and then the one gun,
which
on
was
his
the
side,
wrong grenade.
It was. I did notice that it exploded and then the guy flies over and it does have that kind of like that thing, but it takes out that gun where it's just that. But you see the guys down the wall are getting nailed as well. Hit that one section.
In real life,
of
that's how it would have gone.
Right.
That's how it would have gone.
No, yeah, but I'm saying that one section of wall might have been cleared of one gun, but you see through the whole entire chaos of everything kicking off that those guys down the wall. But they
still keep moving. And it's like, okay, we're doing this. And they get across the wall, or they get over the wall, rather, not across. And then it's just fucking chaos. And that's all it shows is like, okay, how do we deal with this? A bunch of Germans surrender. It's just fucking people running all over. And it's like, but it's also very empty too.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting to see how empty it was, but then you realize why it's so empty. It's because they've all retreated back to the next line of defense, which is in through the woods, which we see
Well,
5
and the
minutes
Germans
later.
really didn't have that many guys there at this time. Like they really didn't. Like they were stretched so thin, but they had the tactics and the weaponry, let's be honest, to like, do interlocking fields of fire and all that shit, and like set up a good defense, and like with minimal amount of manpower. And it shows that very well in this film, I think. And then they get there and they're like, there's like 50 guys here and there's like 300 of us.
Right. But I mean, it shows that that thing where you can have that minimal amount of guys taking out that many guys. I mean, I really was very impressed by the way they were showing guys getting mowed down during that charge before the wall. Because you don't see that as clearly defined in most movies. Like if we use All Quiet as an example of that, you might see a zoomed in following of a few guys going down, but you don't get like this cutaway of watching almost 10 to 15 guys going down at once.
When also
with that raking motion going left to right.
That's what I mean, is like they also got that in like the receiving end. They actually showed that where it was guys were dropping left to right and then right to left. And it was like, I don't know if you caught that.
No, there's an order. There was an order to it because that's the way they're going to rake it back to fourth.
Yep, and it's like that was a good touch. Whoever their advisor was or advisors were, that was a really good touch because it's like, and then that's why he was looking. I don't know if you caught that. Like he was looking, and he's like, okay, they're going that way. I can fucking go forward now. And then he gets up there and like starts sliding, and then he's like, okay, shit, I got to throw this grenade, get it out of commission. Bam, the RGD 33, but nah. Who's
what did
who
Mike A, what did you I know when Mike and I get going on guns we go back and forth a lot. What did you think about that whole scene as a whole? I mean, like we've talked about that kind of a little bit, but what did you think about of that whole representation of the whole charging wall? Because I know when it's wrong because you say I don't fucking like that.
Which scene? Okay, which one specifically are we talking about here?
Just the entire winter assault, like so from the time the Bangalore goes off, until they get across
till like the
wall.
wood line at night.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, at that point, like I was, I don't know, I was a little.
Where you checked out?
Tired. But I thought it was I thought most of the combat stuff in this was pretty well done. Like I liked a lot of it, but I gotta like the part with the guy in the tree was just fucking with me, dude. Like I couldn't
okay.
All right.
Yeah, that was okay, let's address that. Yeah, that was the one time I went, huh.
I'm like what the fuck? Like, I mean, and it's one of the first things you see in the movie, and already I'm like, oh, really? We're coming out swinging with this? Like, and the guy, I mean, like, he's up in a tree, I guess, like a Japanese sniper in World War II, and that's
are we talking about the at night scene?
Where the guy with the MG 0815 falls out of the tree.
Okay, we are talking about the same thing. Okay, you said the beginning of the film, and I went, there's another one?
No.
Sorry. Because the beginning of the film for me is the marshes and the whole kind of non-winter scene. So the middle is for me is the winter stuff. So that Maxim falling out of a fucking tree. One, I was not ready for a machine. I saw the machine gun rounds and he reacts to it, and you're like, oh, is it like another pillbox up the way on like a little elevated hill? No, it's a fucking Japanese sniper with a fucking
That's what I immediately
25-pound Maxim in a tree. Could you get a Maxim in the tree and use
25?
It's probably more than that, right?
0815?
Yeah. Without a bipod?
It's like 60 pounds.
Without a bipod?
Yeah, it's like 60 pounds.
It's a big fucker. And
I've held one. They're fucking
so have I, but I thought they were like 25 pounds without the bipod.
But yeah, and like, okay, it would take you like probably an hour to get that thing up into a tree if you're gonna take the time to do it.
It wouldn't, because you could have your guys like just put it on a rope and like put it up there. It's not, like Nate said, it's not impossible. It's a waste of a fucking heavy weapon that you have.
Yeah, why would you put a one-man guy in a tree?
Retarded. Because also, I want to just touch on this really quick, because Nate, you haven't picked this up. Tracers were not an infantry thing in World War One.
Oh, the mass is 58 pounds, just a gun body. with 9
Yeah,
pounds of
it's-
water, so it's almost 60 pounds worth of weight.
That's
Okay.
what I said. I've
right,
held them.
okay,
They're
okay.
fucking.
I didn't know it was
They're
that much.
insanely heavy. They're insanely heavy.
What did you say?
So-
Tracers don't no go. I
Tracers
thought
were
so.
not used by the infantry in World War One. They were used by anti-aircraft crews and anti-balloon crews. Sometimes in airplanes. Sometimes
I was
whatever.
worried about that. Okay, yeah.
So the tracers in this film are completely fucking inaccurate.
Visual representation to make people understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's to relate to World War II films. And I'll say this, and then Mike, you go. The reason they didn't use them in World War One is because they were like, well, we're in static positions for the most part, right? We're not mobile. We can't just pick up and move. And so if we have tracers, that's just going to show exactly where we are, and they're just going to assault that position,
That's so funny.
which is correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
It's correct.
I'm just I'm really thinking about the situation right now. Hey guys, let me take this cruiser weapon up a tree that I can only fit up here, and it's 65 pounds worth of fucking weight.
Okay, what happens
And-
when the army comes running in and they're all surrounding you?
Yeah, okay, that makes okay. I'm a little more angry than I thought I was. Just thinking about it rationally, yeah.
Yes, so you're angry now the
No,
way I
that's
was
a
when
little.
I'm like,
That's a little.
I'm like,
That's a little.
well, and then he lands with his fucking finger on the trigger. It's like, how fucking stupid is that?
It's an action movie type thing. He's like spiraling down. You can see the muzzle flashes. Yeah, and he's still going, and it's like, I mean, that thing would, I would have guessed that thing would probably have malfunctioned at this point, rather than just
That thing would probably still be up in the fucking tree, is what where it would be.
or the belt would have just simply kinked and then stopped working like it normally does.
Well, no, they had cans. They had cans, but like, yeah, probably.
There's
but like,
no way a fucking can could run that long.
No, well, there you go.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
200
yeah.
rounds.
Well,
It's 200 rounds.
when you
it's like,
when he runs up to him, if you look, the ammo belt isn't moving at all. It's not going into the gun or anything.
it's just fucking. That was a really stupid scene.
It's action hero, like
But that part, I was just
Yes.
like, really? And yeah, but that's another thing though that like I've seen in a lot of like real lowbrow war movies. Like the guy's like, "Where's that coming from?" Oh, and then they shoot up in the tree. Then you see a dummy fall down. Like I've seen that in a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember I saw it in The Revenant. I saw it in. It was in some short I saw on YouTube one time. It's
in the oh, that's right, it did happen in the Revenant.
it's at the beginning of The Revenant.
yeah,
It's
with
just
the
like,
Indian ambush. And
why
you
would
know,
you
and,
do
yeah.
that? Like you have no place to go.
It was a cool cinematography shot, but yeah. I do
And
agree on that
in this
too.
movie, like I don't know if you noticed, but like two dummies actually fall out of the tree when the guy falls down shooting the.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, two
Well,
dummies fall.
maybe that was your crew served weapronry to vouch for that.
Yep. They
And,
just don't want to
and
drop the fucking prop
in
because they're
a
expensive.
fucking tree house, you know, like that's like,
Right. It's not shooting blanks either. When he runs up,
Oh.
when he runs up, it's digital muzzle flashes
Okay.
from After
Oh.
Effects.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. But I mean, like, I'm gonna leave that pause in there. It's such a head scratcher. Like I
Yeah.
don't know where the fuck this comes from.
I-
Other
I-
than-
It's
it's-
wannabe Hollywood shit, is what it is.
Yeah,
It's
but
wannabe
but
Hollywood shit.
Yeah, but the Chinese and the Russians are the only ones really kind of guilty of that through their media making. And I mean, if one or two things from Latvia does that, okay, fine. Like, here's the thing, that whole assault, fucking was awesome.
Mm.
But then you fucking like
Yeah.
leave, then you fucking haymaker me with this fucking Maxim in a tree. You know, like I
saw that. I literally out loud, I said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I think I literally went, huh.
I was-
because by the time for me to digest it, it already moved on.
I
But,
was just
it-
like,
you
oh,
know.
we're gonna go there. Okay.
Well, like they had the bunker. They had a really good looking bunker.
Mhm.
They cut to like a really good looking bunker on the corner, and I thought that I was like, why didn't you just go with that? But I get it. I get it. I get it as a Hollywood standpoint. I hate it for what it is. That moment, I mean, which sucks because before all that, there's really good representation of tiny trees make no cover, use dirt.
Yep.
They're getting fucked with no organization. They're getting reamed. And there is a little bit of like a come on Latvians, let's go for Latvia moment in that moment as well, which is a little that's that cliche annoyingness, but yeah.
Well, and so when you were saying stay in the dirt, yes. And I was like, when they got out of the trench in that first kind of assault, what you're talking about, like when they're going through the marsh,
Mhm.
When they got, I'm like, why the fuck would you be getting out of the trench? Like you're not that stupid. And then they brought the fog.
Yeah.
They're like, we have to use this, and we can use this to actually make an assault because there's fog, and they're just going to be shooting blindly at anything that moves, but like they don't see us. And I'm like, actually, on the Eastern Front specifically, that's what they would have done.
Yeah.
Use the fog, use the natural environment to your advantage. And so that was. Here's the thing: is they got. That's why I say it initially. Like I am on board with Michael. Is like, it's mixed emotions because it's like they got so much shit, so good. They got so much shit right that they did research on, and like they portrayed very well. And then like the other 50% of the film is just like, why?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you do that?
I think it's more like moments. Why?
Right. Yeah. And there one scene that I did, and again, I don't know if this is again accurate or what. One scene that I did think was pretty neat. It wasn't necessarily horrifying or anything like that, but the part where they're being gassed and they're having to like help each other like to get
Okay, no, that's so that most likely would have been in chlorine if it was late 1915 to early 16.
Yeah, it's that yellow cloud.
That would most likely been chlorine. Mm-hmm. But also, I do respect them for not just putting like multiple gas attacks in here.
Right.
Because on the Eastern Front, especially, when it starts pickling out and close the jar.
That's what she said.
Yeah, no,
I was gonna say that. But thank you.
I was just gonna say all you guys making jokes, but who gives a fuck? These are delicious.
Put that pickle in your mouth, bitch.
Very hot, but they're delicious. And Trader Joe's, I'm gonna plug them. I'm not an affiliate or anything. I'm not getting anything.
Brought to you by Trader Joe's.
Trader
Pickles.
Joe's spicy kosher dill pickles from Bulgaria. Delicious. On that front, on the Eastern Front, it would have been released in giant bottles that had these big spouts that came out of the defensive trenches. And they'd be like, okay, the wind is right. And it was used as an offensive weapon. It's not a defensive weapon at all. So that's another fallacy, which I'm glad they didn't do in this film. So they were on the offensive, right? The Russians were on the offensive. And all of a sudden they said gas. And it also wasn't the super thick shit that like they also portray.
Right.
And so it would have been most likely chlorine, which is...
Yeah, it had that yellow look to it.
Well, it was green.
Okay,
Chlorine's green.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And when it's concentrated like in a gas form, but it also settles to the ground very quick. But in this film, I actually think they did a really good job at portraying that. The masks, I'm not an expert on those. I don't think they looked good based on the original Russian gas mask I've seen. But they also said, hey, wet a cloth and put it over your face.
Yeah, they showed. That's what I said. I like how they showed like a combination of that where they're doing, and then like he does it to a horse too, which is interesting.
Yep. They do it to they do it to all their animals and whatever. And
I thought that was a very touching moment. It kind of sucks that it's then overshadowed by the death of the father.
Right.
In that cadence, because again, what you said, Mike, all the deaths are kind of like fleeting in that sense.
Yeah,
like,
they're very matter of fact. They're not like
Yeah.
super dramatic or anything.
Yeah.
which is good in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
thought-
No, that's
So
not
with
that's not a negative thing. I just
no,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, with the gas attack, it's like, yeah, some guys that got caught off guard, they couldn't react because they're like holding their throats. 'Cause chlorine is toxic as fuck. It's terrible. It just burns everything when you breathe it in. It burns your lungs. And then you show the guys that are bringing them back, but it wasn't like this over dramatic depiction that I've seen in a lot of other films.
No, it was very like procedural.
But it's one of the more well portrayed uses of gas that I've seen in a film, because the guys that had masks on were like, okay, we'll just get you over here and whatever. There were some little flaws of like, again, chlorine hits your eyes. It's going to fucking, it's not going to be good. Whatever.
Some of them
But,
had shit wrapped around their eyes. I noticed that.
Exactly. And so it's like, take them back, get them the fuck out of here.
Mhm.
It'll dissipate very soon because they just happened to get lucky. The wind was right and they just got really lucky. And so I actually appreciated that portrayal of that. Whoever their advisors were, they know their shit. If they were listened to or not, that's a different thing. But like, that's how it goes with filmmaking. But like, yeah, that, out of, most of the gas attacks I've seen on World War I films, like that was probably one of the most realistic.
Yeah.
From records.
What I liked about it was that they didn't try to make it like this horrifying thing. I understand it is a bad thing, but they do it in a way to where it's like it's very procedural. Everyone's just like, okay, take care of them and such like that. And we'll get through it. It's not like this horrible moment where it's like Evil Dead or something like that, where you see like zombie people like walking around or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what I've seen in other things when it comes to mustard gas and all that.
Well, mustard gas is fucked up, and it wouldn't have been used at this point at all. And so that's another reason I appreciate that. And then chlorine was green, and so they got that, but they also made it very vague, like kind of like it was very thin.
Yeah.
So again, it was also a huge risk because the whoever was releasing the gas, the wind shifts, which it can at any moment. It comes right back on you. And so it just happened to get to them when they were on the offensive, slowed them down, and then they recovered and whatever. So so that's a good point. Yeah, it was.
I was doing some looking up because I know we had talked about it earlier, but the budget for this was $1 million Latvia currency, which is LVL, so this film's at $1 million level. But the ratio conversion, because I think Latvia runs on euros, is $1 million. It's pretty much 1 for 1 basically, and so I'm very impressed.
They did this for $1 million.
Yeah, from what I can understand here.
Holy fuck!
Now the only thing is different. The thing I'm having trouble with is that we had talked about before we opened up was I've been having trouble finding what the movie made because, unfortunately, even though it did really well in film festivals in 2019, COVID hit and all of the movie consuming market was upended with traditional movie theater stuff. So it only says the numbers say it only made $8,000. Maybe that is true in fucking the first year because no one was consuming it in the movie theater in 2020. But but I mean, this movie is everywhere now. You can find it on Tubi, YouTube, everything. So I'm assuming it's made its money back easily.
Well, even if it only made 8,000, it's if they made this whole thing for $1 million.
I will double check, but from what I can what I can see here of what it tells me, that it was made for. Let me just pull up the exact page I found that on.
And then we should talk about the ending, kind of like the Latvian, revolution, or the.
Okay, it's estimated to have cost 1 million of LVLs, which is
about €1 million.
About €1 million, and the 1 for 1 conversion is a little, US dollars a little bit. It would be a little bit more, but let's say like 1.1 million or whatever.
But still, we'll just say $1 million because even that, from what they actually produce, that's really fucking impressive.
The effects that I see, although they might be, somewhat ridiculous, like the Maxim, they're still good effects.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen bad.
Let's talk about that really quick.
I've seen bad effects.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because what I noticed, the good effects were the artillery, the hits.
Mm-hmm.
I know there were ground charges, and the only thing that made them better was a little bit of black smoke. A little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more black powder.
Yeah.
But they actually didn't overdo it with the fireballs.
Yeah, there was no Michael.
Really
there was no Michael Bay in this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they did that really well. Now, the gunplay was fucking awful.
There was when I was watching this, there's a lot of this kind of the ready position. I just thought, you know what?
That's the least egregious.
I know, but at this point, I'm like, I see this in every fucking movie. It's just I'm just used to it at this point. It's not even something worth complaining about,
especially in Europe.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just gonna get that. Mm-hmm.
Honest to God, I'm just trying to think. Most of the shots that I saw them take out of either G98s or M91s, they weren't even shooting blanks. For fuck's sake.
They were just dry firing, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Just to harken back, the release date was July 24th, 2020 in the United Kingdom. Yeah, it only made $8,750. I'm having
in the UK.
In the UK, which is the only place it's it's the only other place other than Latvia it opened up with, and Latvia we don't have the figures for that. So it made almost $8,000 during height of COVID 2020. So
Okay.
again, I keep saying like I do have the things that kind of hit out left field and the little tropes, but I was very well impressed with, again, I think the middle part of the film, and even the beginning part of the film to a bit, even though it lulled. But I guess to talk about that, we should launch into the end, which is the big red scare, which is where I kind of was petering off in interest.
It didn't make any continuital sense, because it's like, okay, just give us a caption that says, okay, this army was sent to Moscow, which they show them in front of the Cathedral of Moscow. Why am I
Kremlin.
blanking this out? No, it was not the Kremlin. It's
St. Petersburg.
No, hold on. It's
I thought that was the Kremlin. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm American. I don't know this shit.
No, not St. Peter.
I do, and I'm just having a huge St. Basil's Cathedral.
Oh,
okay.
Right? So that fucking huge ass cathedral, it's very widely known. And he says we got wounded, and it's just like we just jumped like over a year and a half. Where are we at here? Like,
yeah, there was a massive time leap, and again, it makes me think it makes me want to address that, Latvians regret, I guess, the communism. Like that's how I felt with the whole display of it.
Again, yes, that's exactly, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, it's like the Germans saying, "Oh, we accepted fascism, we bad." Like, I understand, and I understand Latvia probably feels the same guilt with the red communism scare. This is before all the, current political stuff going on. So it's like,
but like,
it's even more. No, I'm just saying, like,
I know,
a lot,
you're on track,
especially a lot of countries, which I'm pretty sure, if Latvia has the euro, they're in NATO, right?
Not NATO, they're in the EU.
In the EU, okay.
Yep.
I can't remember.
I don't know if. Well, we've got.
I think they are.
Google.
I think they are, because Lithuania, Latvia, all those guys are in NATO since like the 90s, I think. Anyway, I'll you look into that. I'll jump into that. They are.
They're in NATO.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. So,
but it was more the EU is what uses the euro.
The euro,
and
yeah. But I
not NATO,
right? But I was pretty damn sure that's like one of the reasons why everything's happening. Anyway, no, I mean, to me, it made me feel like, communism's bad, okay, and but I that's kind of how it made me feel. Whether that is the message they were trying to do, I don't know, but that's what it makes me feel.
I guarantee it was.
Yeah, because then it's like, okay, then we're gonna go fight the Reds with defense of Estonia against the Germans. It's just like,
no, against the Russians.
Was it against the Russians?
Oh wait, no,
the very end. The very end.
Yeah.
What year was?
I thought you were talking about their message.
Okay, so what? So what year was that? Because that's the other thing, is that the Germans looked like they're all wearing Stammhelms, and it's just like,
I thought that was 1918, right?
Was that like the very end of the war, or what was that? Because that's where it all got very confusing for me.
It's the Latvian War of Independence, right?
They said in that book,
late 1918.
Whoever the fuck was writing it, I'm pretty sure it was Artur's, that wrote in there 1919,
which is the Bolshevik Revolution and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, Bolshevik Revolution was in 17. Both of them. And so
this is where my timelines are all fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about Latvia's actual, like, when they did their thing. I actually don't know. Again, sorry, Latvian people that are listening, or Lithuanian, Estonian, Baltic states. Sorry, I don't know your history totally well. I just know you exist, and I can put you on a map. So they said 1919. Why the fuck would the Germans be there in 1919? They were at home trying to recover from a fucking blow to their entire country.
Maybe that was a typo.
The Freikorps didn't come out until like the early 20s to defeat the communists, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, why would there be Germans with armored cars there unless it was like 1917? So are we going back in time? But no, it's the Latvian like revolution, or getting the Germans out. So it did not make sense to me as an American. It did not make sense the way it was portrayed because there were no captions, not subtitles. There were subtitles. There were no captions. There was no explanation for what was going on. They just said, we got a bunch of kids that are wearing black being led by guys that were in the Imperial Russian Army. And they're fighting Germans. It's like, okay. And then it's over. And then, Marta and him get married and that's fine. The ending was very fucking weak in my opinion. As far as explaining things that happened.
To me, it was like, okay, the movie should have already been over at this point. That once it got
Correct.
to that, I'm like, oh, why is this? And there's a number of movies like that where it's like, okay, the movie should have ended 25 minutes ago. Why is this still?
I'm trying to find. Okay, I can't seem to find a website that tells me the stories, timelines, and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna quickly do some Estonia, Lithuania, or Latvia. One of those. God, sorry.
Lithuania is
Latvia.
right above.
Yeah, Latvia.
Or no, right below
history.
it. Yeah, right below.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up a map here.
It's like basically saying Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. You guys are all getting fucked up.
Yeah.
You guys are all getting fucked up. And it's like,
Estonia, just Belarus is right down there. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find something here in Wikipedia for Latvia history for me to understand what the fuck was going on. Okay.
there's a bunch of Latvians that are gonna be listening to this going, Jesus Christ, why didn't you fucking tell me? I would have told you.
Oh, they're Irish? I didn't know that.
Fuck you, Nate.
I heard what you were going for. I watched the movie Blown Away the other day, which has Tommy Lee Jones with an Irish accent in it. And
Oh, God.
oh, it's terrible. And there are many parts where he sounds Russian rather than Irish.
It's like Harrison Ford and fucking K-19.
Oh yeah, where he's supposed to be Russian.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that movie, but yeah, it's brutal. So there's the February Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution, the Soviet westward offensive, and then the Russian Civil War. Let's look up the Soviet westward offensive.
Was that after October 17?
The Soviet westward offensive of 1918 and 1919 was a campaign by Soviet Russia in areas abandoned by the Oberst garrisons that were being withdrawn to Germany following the country's defeat in World War I. The initial success offensive against the Republic of Estonia ignited the Estonian War of Independence, which ended up with the Soviet recognition of Estonia. The war against republics of Latvia and Lithuania were more successful for the Soviets and resulted in the Latvian Socialist Soviet Republic and Lithuanian Soviet Socialist Republics being established. Blah, 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 blah,
So,
blah.
From the timeline in the film, if I'm hearing this correctly, they should have been fighting the Germans wearing Stahlhelme. They should have been fighting the fucking Red Army at that point. Right?
You'd think.
No, well, no. It says part of a campaign by the Soviet Russia into areas abandoned by the Germans who were withdrawing. So maybe they were fighting the Germans and withdrawing as they were withdrawing. That's the only thing I can think. So it's that. So I think that is correct. I just think it's.
But why did he not type? Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking.
Stop eating your pickles.
They're out. I actually ate the whole fucking jar. There's just garlic and cheese.
Oh,
in
holy
there.
Holy shit, dude. So yeah. So that's what I was able to find.
Why
with
did
that.
he write in his book 1919?
I think it's a typo.
Was that a fuck up?
I think it's a mess up. I think that
I don't know. We're gonna have to it might require me to watch this fucking movie twice.
Well, why don't you just pull this bitch up and go to that scene where it's right after
Yeah,
they get done.
yeah,
and,
I have that.
Why don't you just do that? Pull up just the notebook, with what he wrote in there.
1919 on the envelope. Yeah, on the envelope, yeah. That would be 1919, 1920, but when he starts fighting with the kids. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
they messed up their own history.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. I think because here's the thing. It says Estonian direction. It says the Estonian army stopped the 7th Red Army advance along the entire front of 2-5 5, January 1919. 2 days later, Estonian forces being the counteroffensive to completely expel the Soviet forces from Estonia. A Finnish volunteer Marine brigade landed in near the 6th Red Division. Blah 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 blah. Fuck, I don't know. It just requires someone
again,
like Brian.
No, it's like, but again, like they fucked it up then because it's not clear.
Well, how about this? They are assuming that we know Latvian history, and we fucking do not know Latvian history. Therefore, it's hard.
And that's the thing is, I would not assume that anybody knows American history, even though a lot of people do. I would never assume that.
We run into problems like this when we do these kinds of films because we are the viewer, I guess, is supposed to know X amount of history to get the context that they don't have time or didn't want to fill in. So this is, I think, where we're suffering from this is we don't know what the fuck the timeline should be. We
want to know. That's the thing. Is like we want to. We actually do give a shit about it.
Well, it's confused. It's confusing in the way it's dished out in this way. So just for us, I don't think it'll affect my score, but it's frustrating when you see.
No, we got a score, but like it's just, again, if you're Latvian and you're a filmmaker and you're listening to this by fucking whatever, how happenstance that goes on, please just expect that nobody knows about Latvian history, even though we want to know if it's a fucking interesting film like this is. We would like to know. Just give more context.
I'm just gonna have to spend an extra hour figuring that out myself, which is fine. It's just I wasn't prepared for the podcast.
I know. Yeah, I know macro level. I know that shit did happen in Baltic states, Eastern states, the Polish Revolution, 1921 to whenever the fuck that technically ended. Polish people will argue with me on that, but like, it's like a lot of Eastern Europe, a lot of these former Austro-Hungarian states, these Baltic states, Russian states, they were in kind of chaos after the First World War, and I get that, and I'd like to know about Latvia's shit in context, like just fucking, So yeah,
because I just had to guess what everything was with seeing an Estonian guy with the eye patch and seeing the uniform and all the badges and the pins, and then seeing Latvia, him having Latvia stuff at age 21. Well, here's the thing. When did all that start? 17, 18 for him, and he was 21, so that medal stuff didn't happen until what?
Probably 20 or
21, yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, we can move on to IMFDB because I haven't talked about the weapons, which I actually was very impressed with, except for a couple little things we'll talk about. I just want to see if they did what I think they did. And if they did that, it's very impressive. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to see what IMFDB has to say.
A lot, quite a bit, we'll say.
1895, absolutely.
I did see those in there. That was cool.
Yep. Absolutely accurate. 100%. I didn't see any Bakelite grips too, which is actually even more accurate. So good stuff. And also it was the round sights. It wasn't the
not up right there.
Yep. Oh shit. Well, I can definitely forgive that.
Right there too.
Fuck.
I can't forgive it now. Yeah.
Movie's ruined.
It's fine.
That one has the circle one.
Yep. Yeah. It's fine. Like that one does too. So I can definitely forgive something that small. But yeah, definitely accurate. Okay, so the Dragoon, that's what I was asking. Okay. So despite the fact that last year yeah, because the Dragoon rifle didn't come up until the 20s.
Oh, really?
No, I think it was I could be wrong on that. So, but like, hold on. So these were Latvian riflemen in the film. Blah, blah. It is still more accurate choice than the 9130 and the Finnish MP9 rifles seen in the first trailer. Interesting. See, the Dragoon rifle, yeah, because that's got a shorter, yeah. I thought that's what the fuck that was with the different sight.
Yeah, because it had the
and also, it's got the fucking post-World War II Soviet shellac on there.
Yeah.
But
and so that's why I was.
But they have them in the crates there, so it's just easy. Grab it.
Well, no, let's talk about that. Yeah. That's also a round receiver. You see that?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it is. Yep, you're right. Yep, right there.
It is.
Yep.
So let's just.
What rifle would? What rifle would they have? What is the
The M91.
Okay.
The 3-line rifle is what it's called. But like,
with,
yeah, it's
with
they
a
had
hex
the M91.
with a hex receiver, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure. So this might take a little bit. The rest of them shouldn't take that long. But like, okay, so that is I think that's a hex. Just keep going.
Yeah,
down.
that's a hex. See that? There's the flat.
Yeah, I'm just. It's very small.
It's
But
a
like,
hex there too.
yep. There's
Yeah.
a hex.
Which these didn't seem to have shellac on them. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're correct.
Okay.
And yeah, they said the correct bands,
Mhm.
and they didn't have the cleaning rods because they're very expensive to buy and hard to find. They're like $100 a piece, which is fine. Like some guys would have lost them. And yeah, also like in World War I, they would have actually carried their bayonets on their rifles like that. There was really never, except a few very weird circumstances, a sheath issued for the M91 bayonet or M91.
Yeah.
So it was
Bayonet.
basically supposed to always be on the rifle.
Correct. And except for if you were like motorized troops or whatever, and then so the guys would use them like that, they'd just throw them on
Backwards.
when they were like off the line. Yep. And so because they didn't have any way to carry them. So, yeah,
looks
that's a
like it
91.
looks like you can see remnants of shellac being removed though. See that?
No, that's probably a Finnish M91 to be honest. Well, it's a round receiver. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's a round receiver. So okay. So what I was saying that I think they did is I think they converted a lot of these 9130s, and they just put parts on because it's got the correct brass fucking.
Or dude, it's 80 years of conversions of all the states doing it over the years of just upgrading all this stuff.
Well, they went to put 91s in crates. Generally speaking, like with those old sights and the barleycorn front sights. So what I'm thinking is this is probably a Finnish Mosin that was made on a round receiver in like 1941 or 42 that they just kind of doctored up to look because like Tika and I think Tika.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Well, I was gonna say that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they would have the Finns would have converted. I'm trying to remember because I know they had these old style sights on them. They converted all the old style sights with captured 9130s, but I can't remember if that was just because they were old Imperial that they converted because I haven't seen, to my recollection, a 9130 in World War II that was converted by the Finns that would have the older stepped model sights to it.
All right, you're correct. And so, yeah, you're right. So they doctored these up with parts.
Either that or...
Well, there's no other explanation. There really isn't. Because they put the 91 sight ladder.
But
on
see,
here.
I'm. This is when Brian would be great because he knows this shit off the back of his hand. I can't remember if the hexes. I can't remember if the round receivers on the 9130s were ever like if they mosh podge barrels and sights together. If the Finns ever did that, or the Balkans, or whatever.
No,
like,
because they would the Finns. I have a fucking.
Or if the Ukrainians, slap stuff together and upgraded
okay.
receivers. Like I can't remember.
No. So here's a Finn capture 9130, right?
Right.
And so I don't know. Oh yeah, it actually still has the marks, right? So this is a 1940 Ishevsk, right?
Right. Yeah.
All they did was they threw the SA stamp on there. They had the original rear sight, the 9130 rear sight, and they would throw these sling hangers on here to use the finished slings.
Right. Yeah.
That's about it.
Is that a hex? I can't see.
No, it's a round. It's a 1940 because like 38 they started.
Okay, so
30.
so that does at least answer my. So they did have round receivers with the old style sights then.
There's a what are we? Okay,
No, this is not an old style sight. This is a 9130 sight because 1930.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Sorry, I didn't see the 9130. I thought it had steps. Sorry.
The image of the one below is a hex.
Yeah, that's a 91 rear sight as well.
No, scroll down to the next photo. That one right there.
Yeah, that's an M39.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
it is. No. Look, dude, there's a squeeze. It's the squeeze on the side.
Don't make me pull my M39.
I got mine right behind me, dude. I can go
dick
get
measuring.
It.
I love
I can fucking tell you that's the squeezing bits for the 39. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Go. I'm right.
Mike?
He's probably right.
Oh, fuck.
He's probably right.
All right. I'm just gonna make it a lot. I'm gonna make it a lot fucking easier. On
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
Here's my M91.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what the rear sight looks like.
Okay. Okay. Shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
There is squeezy shit.
Okay. You're right. All right. That-
No, it's fine.
It was
it's fine.
worth it. I liked hearing the shit in the background, so that was fine. It worked.
Oh Jesus! I just about I took this one out and it was holding another gun from sliding off my fucking mouth.
Just all of a sudden hear the crash of fucking metal.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
Jesus! Yeah, I don't want to hear that again.
Yeah.
I've heard it too many times, but no, that's an M91 rear sight.
No, you're right.
But here's the thing: is Finland actually Tika and I think one other factory, I just can't name it right now. Tika made M91s out of recycled Russian receivers until 1943.
Yeah, the Imperial ones.
But they also used 9130 receivers that they would find that the barrels were trash on, whatever, and all that stuff. And they actually made their own, I think, for a bit. And so because here's the thing is, Latvia is pretty close to Finland, and they've got a good relationship with them. So what I said I thought they did is I think they did this. So they took a bunch of 9130s and they took the front sight off, put a barley corn on there, and then put the 91 rear sight on. You can see the difference in the metal shade.
That or they could just be real Russian Imperial Mosins then, couldn't they?
But that's a Dragoon right there, right in this picture right here that you're showing. Mm-hmm. It's Dragoon / 9130 length.
Is okay? So that's because of the length. I don't have a Dragoon, so I have.
Well, I don't
Russian
either, but
Imperial,
I have an X-Dragoon.
I have the Russian Imperial, the Finn Imperial conversion, and then I have an M9. I have an M28 and an M39.
Okay, so I'll just show you this.
And a 9130 from World War II and a whatever.
So this is. I can see.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean.
This is This one's my M91.
Yeah.
This is my 9130.
Okay.
I don't want to fuck with the webcam.
Yeah, no. I can see it. I can see the height difference.
But there's a substantial difference.
Yeah,
It's about 2.5, 3 inches of barrel length.
Is the Dragoon then smaller than both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little bit shorter than the 9130.
Is it like an M38 or no?
No, it's not that. No, it's so okay. You have a 9130. Take about this much off of the barrel. So where the rear sight is, or I'm sorry, the front sight is. That's about where the muzzle would be.
Okay.
And the stock would be down a little bit further, but that's about it.
Okay.
And it also has.
I didn't even know there was a fucking Dragoon rifle for all that shit. So
yeah, they made them for a while, and then it was okay. Then they came out with the 9130, and they're like, okay, they updated most of the Dragoons to the 9130. They rebarreled them and shit.
Okay.
And they, because they put the new sight on them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean,
okay,
that's the thing is so that's what I'm saying is I think what they did is they took a bunch of 9130s. Please don't fall. They took a bunch of 9130s and kind of retrofitted them to be M91s, but that's an M91 because you can tell with the stock and the bands and all that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, and so because that's an M91 rear sight, and the Dragoon rear sight was a little bit more choppy, but that's an M91 rear sight.
Mm-hmm.
And so continue to go down.
So that's it.
And then that's that rear sight for that one, whether it's the same one.
That's an M91 rear sight.
Yeah.
It's at a weird angle. That is a
Imperial. That looks like
make it bigger.
That looks like an
Imperial. Can you make it bigger?
Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm just saying it looks like an Imperial to me.
Yeah, it's a 91 sight. Yep.
Yeah.
Could be a Dragoon sight, but it looks like an M91 sight. They're fairly. If you can't get a good picture, they're fairly hard to tell apart. But yeah. All right, M891 infantry. Okay. All right, yeah. So that's what I have sitting next to me. Yeah, it's what they would have been issued with the bayonet.
Mainly with the Reds, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, G98.
Yep.
Gewehr 98. Yep.
It's got a butcher blade. He's got the.
No, that's not the correct fucking hook on there. That's weird. Maybe it's just the angle.
I think it's the angle.
The handle's correct. Yeah, the handle's correct. Yep.
Ugh. Just thinking
Also,
about getting slashed by that big fucking German bayonet. I'm like, no.
Yeah, little note too at this point, because it'd be like late 1915, early 16. The Krauts would have had their most likely in a line infantry unit. They would have had green regimental numbers on their Helmbezug, which is like their helmet cover, and they would have had the spike off.
I was gonna
And it would just
ask
been-
if the Pickelhaube and the fucking uniforms were correct for that year. I know you said you don't know the Eastern Front as well as you know the Western Front, but I just know in the timeline most of them probably would have been changing around the same time period. So
Yep. Yeah, they would have. And also a big thing is you see his Schulterklappen, like the shoulder boards.
yeah,
How they had the white piping.
yeah.
That was like late 1915 on for infantry. At this point, it would have been a red.
Okay.
And so and they had that on all the German infantrymen is like the white piping.
Right.
Very later, like mid to late war, not accurate.
Did you see this scene in your version, Mike?
No,
Yeah.
No, I didn't see this because I saw the I saw the
I saw this.
the other people come up and talk to her, but not these guys.
Well, these guys were taking her away.
Huh?
They took her down to like the river because it says a deleted scene.
It wasn't in the one
and-
I watched.
Okay, I saw that. Yeah. So I was just curious.
Okay.
So yeah, there are different cuts
Yeah.
of this film in terms of different stuff, but yeah,
They do that.
yeah, and I
sometimes.
saw that there.
They did call this out. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
the
right there on the side.
Well, the scoped rifle that he's using. I noticed that I was like, I couldn't tell necessarily. I knew it was a German rifle, but I didn't know if it was a K98 or whatever.
Also, the Germans are using Yugoslavian M48 pouches.
Ugh,
Just throwing that out there.
ouch.
Yeah, not good.
Okay, so his rifle he was using is a K98.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a German. Yeah. Rifle.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it could have been an early war, or not an early war of a World War I rifle.
He needs
but
to
no,
he
yeah.
AZ
needs to
now.
recycle it there. Go up.
Or yeah, exactly. The cocking piece is it's forward.
Yeah. Same here. It's not cocked.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not. Who
I think a
knows?
lot of these
Oh,
guns
yeah.
were dry the whole time. I don't think many blanks were used in this.
I don't think any blanks
Any
were
at all.
used, dude. Because just the way they're reacting to it, it's just like
Well, when they would shoot the
Pull the
when they
trigger.
would shoot the
Where is that? Is that
I
right
don't know.
there? Yep. Right
when
there.
they would shoot him, you just see the bolt go forward, and it was like that's it.
yep. Oh, cool. Check 9822. Really?
The dry fire brigade, right there.
Oh shit. Notice the Yugo pouches.
Oh yeah. Unknown rifle.
That can you zoom in on that?
It's not
Yeah.
that obscure, really. They couldn't figure that out.
And this deleted scene, I knew this wasn't deleted on my end, but
That is just Turkish M38.
without a handguard, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you can see that's a fucking that's an 03 or a 93 conversion that didn't have a handguard.
Yeah.
You can see that that's a 93 because of the
Yeah.
ring in the back of the front of the receiver rather. There's a place for the handguard to sit in there.
Right here.
Yeah, it's just no back behind the rear
Oh,
sight.
right there. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
You can see that's where the handguard fits in there. So that's either 93 or an 03 conversion. It's a 93 because it's a cock and closing with the small fucking safety on there. Yeah, but anyway, it's a 93-38 basically is what we call it.
That's funny.
But yeah,
He
it's fun.
says his left has a check Mauser.
All right, let's see that.
This guy
Zoom
here.
in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 98-22.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's probably the same thing. It just doesn't have the handguard.
And then nice Yugo pouches. That's a great fucking view of them.
And a Yugo bayonet
used to-
too. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an M48 bayonet.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't
Very nice.
realize that until you pointed out.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, the M10s or the 1910s, sorry. That was kind of cool seeing it on the rooftop.
Shooting at the plane.
Yeah, but also like the most that plane scene. That's not gonna happen in 1915, dudes.
It was cool, but it's like,
Yeah, it's all cinematic like that. A lone plane dropping a couple hand drop bombs, which they releasing from the plane. No, it's not accurate.
Well, the cool
at all.
thing about is that they at least don't have the snow cap on these barrel jackets, because that would be 100% World War II and Finnish. These are at least they don't have that, so it means they're at least early World War II or Imperial, which is cool.
Yeah.
MG08.
I like this right here, where it's like they don't show that guy get killed, but they introduce the sequence with that, where it's like the aftermath of what happened to him has already happened.
Also, most infantry units, and also that buckle's wrong on his chin strap. Most infantry units would, most infantry units, they would not have their chin strap. They would put it underneath their helmet, the helmet cover.
Does he have World War II K98 pouches?
He does.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yep, 100%.
That's funny.
Yeah, either or 2 K98 pouches, and he's got his chin strap on and white fucking piping again on his shoulder boards. Hey, they tried.
Can't
get everything right.
Yeah.
They got some stuff, but doesn't mean that it was right.
Okay, the mount's correct. Is it? Wait.
I don't
Nate,
know.
do you have one of these?
No.
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 But
one day in my life.
that's what I'm
maybe,
saying. Like one day, maybe, right?
They're incredibly hard to find, and they're like ridiculously expensive now. I'm just confused with this mount.
It looks like a Vickers mount, in my uneducated opinion.
Because look at it has this giant swoop here. There's one in my gut.
Oh, it's definitely a Vickers mount. Yeah, it's
and then look at the
Yeah,
clamp. It's like not even the same. So I don't even know.
It's a Vickers mount.
Is that a Vickers mount? Because I know
It's got to be.
Or it could be a 1917 mount. No, 1917 mount doesn't have
It's
all the.
too big.
Yeah, it's Vickers.
It's too big
That's
for
a
that,
Vickers or some kind of Brit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my opinion. I don't know.
There's a local at my local gun shop. There's a guy selling a full auto one with all the accoutrements, and it's
only $60,000.
I think he wants 29K.
Still, just go take out a fucking loan.
Yeah, go take a loan, but it's got like everything.
That's
but,
cool.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. My favorite scene.
Yeah, they weigh 15. These things are fucking heavy. Yeah.
That's a After Effects muzzle flash. Like I know that.
Oh, God,
I know that. I have that in my library.
Yeah.
That's bad. I know that specific muzzle flash. Oh my god.
That whole fucking scene was terrible.
He's got Yugo pouches.
Yep.
Of course. Dude, in 1915, an order came down. Okay. In 1915, early to mid 1915, an order came down, actually early, that all leather had to be darkened or blackened and belt buckles had to be subdued. This is not going to be. He's wearing the belt buckle, the brass one, the 2-piece belt buckle.
Go back to the image, Nate.
That the Prussians would have worn in 1914.
He's also not wearing a helmet. His hat is right there next to him.
Yeah, it's.
Jesus.
The stop streaming button is right next to the slider. So if I hit the wrong button,
also,
I stop streaming.
Did you guys pop quiz? Did you guys hear the Wilhelm
I
scream?
did. Yes, and I'm just like I complained about this the other week.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you reminded me of that, Mike, because I was gonna ask you guys if you had heard it too.
Yeah,
I heard it very faintly. It wasn't front and center. It was very faint, but it was in there.
It was in the winter battle.
It was, yeah.
And it was
it
was when they started chipping away with their bayonets, and you hear
someone got like flipped, and it was
yeah. So I just complained about that last movie we watched, and then it pops up here too. What the fuck?
Well, you should complain about it every chance you get, except for a 60s.
It's a sound. Yeah. Look, it's not like an inside joke. It is like an inside joke. Every sound engineer has to put it in their movies.
There is the
subtly, but you have to put it in the movies, and it's half the game. Is can people pick it out? And that's half the challenge. Unfortunately, a lot of people put it front and center, and it's more annoying.
This one doesn't have a name, but it's on the same level as the Wilhelm scream. That sound of the pot breaking that's in everything. Here, I just sent you a link to it. You'll know it when you hear it. You'll know it right when you hear it.
Oh god, I hate that sound.
Right, but that's another one that's
Ugh,
like it's on
yeah.
the same level as the Wilhelm scream. Whenever I hear that, like, really, we're still using that sound effect?
Yeah, that pot has been breaking for 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these guys as kids, they time traveled and sent them a capsule of a nice K98 and then also some M24 Stierhandgranaten. Yep.
Okay.
The part when that did explode in that little barn or whatever, I thought that effect was nice.
Okay, so they need
'cause it
so they
wasn't
need
a fire
17s,
road.
16s, and 15s.
The 15 would have been better.
Okay,
Yeah, the 15 would have been a lot
gotcha. But they're using all 24s. Okay.
better. Yeah, of course they're the easiest
Okay.
to get.
Yeah. Again, showing the grenade traveling through the air against green, making me think it's making me think it's a tree. Okay, cool.
RG-14? Let's see what the...
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's what he used when he had the grenade in his hand.
I'm pretty sure it was an RG-33. I'm almost
Um,
well, no, it could just have a grenade or a frag sleeve on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? Double-barreled shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very captivating. Yeah.
How come on IMFDB the double-barreled shotguns never have like a distinct name? They're just double-barreled shotgun. It doesn't say.
Well, it's a Jane's.
There-
Well, it says
there's so many make and models. It's hard to.
Jane Stevens Company side by side.
Okay, they say it right there. Yeah.
But most likely that's a European fucking side by side. Like, cause it's like when you had all the pocket pistols come up around, during World War One and World War II. It's like everyone made them. So same thing with like double barrel shotguns. There's European companies that just made like fucking side by side shotguns. Just like how there's only double barrel shotgun companies in the States from the Civil War on. Like they just went bananas. I can't even pronounce that.
This almost killed me. What the Feldhaubitze?
Yeah, that guy
Yeah.
kicking it. And then the armor car, I did see that in the back. That was kind of cool.
Okay, so here's the thing. What the fuck?
Austro-Hungarian.
An Austro-Hungarian Raumfeld-Panzerwagen supports German forces of the Iron Division
Latvian War
during the Latvian War of
Independence.
Independence in 1919. Like, what the... Again, they bounced to that, and it's like, what the fuck? It didn't make any sense, guys. Come on.
The Latvian War of Independence, December 5th, 1918 to August 11th, 1920. That's that hidden conflict we were trying to find.
Mm-hmm. Solved.
Which is, which is kind of half what I was reading, half not. I'm looking at it right now.
What the fuck are German forces doing there in fucking...
The collector who brought that vehicle to the shoot was pissed off because I think that's the only view we see of it.
Okay, so the war can be divided into a few stages: a Soviet offensive, German-Latvian liberation, of Kurtzami and Riga, Estonian-Latvian liberation of, not going to say that, offensive, Latvian-Polish liberation of Latgale. Following a ceasefire, a ploy was developed by the Germans, nominally dissolving into the West Russian Volunteer Army led by someone. This West Russian Volunteer Army included Germans and former Russian prisoners of war, allied with the White Army in the Russian Civil War. Yeah, that's what I got for the Germans, and the rest of it's the Soviet offensive of whatever.
Just stick a fucking spoon in my brain and stir it around.
German-Estonian conflict.
We're not talking about Estonians.
Yeah, but he was wearing all Estonia stuff, fighting.
The movie should have ended at that point.
Who fucking?
I'm done.
Yeah. Let's just
plane.
fucking cut our
Just
losses.
plane.
Yeah, see what I mean?
Plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, plane.
A CGI German plane was seen
Done.
2 times. It's like,
Yeah.
Don't have to tell me it was CGI.
again.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Anyway.
Bruce.
Okay.
Anyway, we got the whole 91.
If
the
you
M91
want
rifle
to
thing
fucking
figured
dive in the Latvian War of Independence, go on. That explains the whole ending of the fucking
out. I
film.
don't.
Yeah.
I just the way they wrapped it up. They wanted to. It should have been a totally separate movie.
Communism is bad. Got it. Cool. Move on.
No shit. That's my answer to that.
Water is wet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
final thoughts. Who wants to lead?
Mike A, you
All
go
right.
first.
Yeah, so like I say, this had some things in it that I thought were kind of interesting. It's about a subject that I don't know too much about, so that's always a plus. That's one thing we always give a war movie points for, is if it intrigues your interest enough to look up the actual event, then that's always a plus, and learn something from that. But and like I say, my favorite part about this is gonna sound deplorable, but my favorite part of it is the deaths in it. Not because I like to see people die, but because I thought the way they were done was very well. It was just so matter of fact, just boom, and then someone's dead. Like, it just seemed very raw and unapologetic, as we like to say. And
Like the Big Lebowski.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Fuck me.
so that stuff I thought was well done. I thought some of the combat was. I love the cinematography. I love the locations they chose for a lot of these battles. It was like, god damn, like this looks so good. But like I say, I mean, some of the other things, they kind of drag it down a little bit, but I don't hate it, obviously, and I don't really necessarily even dislike it. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah, and I'll pass it on to Nate. I was about to say Nathaniel.
You almost died
that's
there.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
That's my job. I have to call him Nathaniel as much as possible. Nathaniel, what'd you think?
It was I enjoyed the parts that I enjoyed. I really enjoyed, and the parts that we talked about I obviously didn't enjoy or found too corny or slow or not really relevant. But it wasn't so detrimental to the point where I walked away from it being like, I don't like this. Something that we didn't talk about at the very end. I honestly they're going for that, but I thought he had died near the end of the film.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
I really did like that whole. It is very Latvian patriotic, but I did find it a very interesting way of doing the cinematography for that moment. That in the editing and the sound effects and all that kind of stuff of the whole, voices echoing and his prayer or his kind of last words being constantly reverberating through the whole scene, enough to give him courage to live through the whole moment, and blah 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 blah. But I thought it was a very poignant and powerful moment because the whole point of the scene might be cliche, but the way you present it is not. I thought it was very powerful and very interesting. Other than the Jap in the tree, and some of the other moments that we picked out, of kind of being like, oh, well, that's weird. It does suffer from not the correct props, but we've docked stuff for less or more or whatever. But I mean, in the end, it comes down to what did I enjoy the film, and I did. I did enjoy the moments. I thought they were really good. I thought that was very, very impressive for what it was. I think with another movie similar coming out of Latvia, I think it would be a wonderful change in some of the European movie representation of Great War or World War II or whatever. I mean, another. I believe it's Estonia. I don't think it's Latvia, but 1944 is another movie of that kind of caliber where it kind of comes out of nowhere with these smaller states in terms of movies, and it does make you kind of look at it and go, wow, that's pretty cool. So all in all, I think I agree with Mike A. I think, some of the things really do detract, but again, a lot of things really do elevate it. So I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 Screaming Mel Gibsons. It's not low enough to be like a 5, and it's definitely like not, it's not like all those little things like, you use Yugoslavian rifles and all this kind of stuff. It does suck. Yeah, but we're turbo nerds. It's not like that was forefront in a major pinnacle scene being like the hero rifle. The details that they did nail down were good. And the realism and the physics they did nail down good to a certain extent. humping a fucking 95-pound machine gun up into a single pine tree is not one of them. But we'll let that go. So, I think all that weight would bend those fucking trees. Honestly, like the fucking as high as he was. But no, yeah, 7 out of 10 Screamo Gibsons, I think, for me. So, Mike.
Sweet. The one thing I forgot to mention, it's gonna be very quick, is the I wish I would have seen more of this in the film. The officer, like their captain, the company commander, he was wearing this thing, and I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation, but the bashlik. It's like that hood that like goes down. It's crisscross in the front.
I did see that.
In that hood.
Yeah.
And it says, according to World War One Infantry by Laurent Merouz, European Military #3, one of my favorite books. I've been looking at this since I was a kid. It was only allowed when it was temperatures below -5 degrees Celsius, which is like probably like 25 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's like, I think most of those guys that have had those, right? Because they had all this other shit, but they also were lacking a bunch of other gear, and I get that. But it was cool to see that, nevertheless.
Yeah.
And so the little details like that, little tiny details were really cool to see. And that was a lot of this film. Is like there were really cool things, especially with the 91s that we were just talking about. How they even if they doctored them up, they were still in 91 configuration.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's like, and I was looking at the bayonets, and it's like, yeah, they were. It was sketchy, but like from what I saw, they were 91 bayonets, the whatever, and all that stuff. But yeah, the acting was okay. Some people were stronger than others. Again, like I said, the beginning of this film was very kind of like weak to me, and then we get to the middle, and it gets really good. There's some little stupid details, but again, we can always forgive that. We have on many films. And then towards the end, when you get to the War of Independence, it's like, again, it should have been a fucking separate thing, or just allude to it,
or
and
you
then end the film.
or you could have ended it with
him wearing a fucking star on his cap, and like that's it. Something like that, you know what I mean? Like
just the illusion. I understand the going in and going back and then going in again and coming out. Like I understand the in terms of going into the red, the communism is bad, killing your friends, escaping, find out you don't want to do that, go fight for Estonia and fight for independence, and it's turned full circle from that little bad thing of doing Red Scare. I understand what they're trying to do, and I do appreciate it. I think like you said, the delivery could maybe just be fine tuned. I don't think it needs to be erased or shortened. I just think it needs to be fine tuned.
Perhaps, but like here's the thing: is like, so like what I'm thinking is like that's the last half hour of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think this film could have been just fine as a 90-minute feature, or like 95, maybe 100 minutes. It could have been great. It could have been just, it would have gotten the point across and focused on the First World War, Latvian infantrymen on the Eastern Front. It still was like, it was just very scatterbrained. I had a problem with that. Is like, I've been bitching about that the whole podcast, but like, it was very scatterbrained. Give the audience more context. We want to know about these details. We want to. People that are watching want to know. Okay, are we in 16 right now? What month is it? Again, are we in January or December? Because there's snow on the ground. Who knows? But like that actually is going to dock a lot of points that I would have otherwise given it. Is like, it's just the lack of clarification and whatever for where we're at, the continuity, not the continuity, the context. And that really took a lot away, because like, I think I know where they were at. You should be able to tell, but then it goes to 1919 and then whatever. So that was not a really strong point. However, the scenes in the middle, not just the combat scenes, but like when they're actually on the front, they go back on reserve, blah, blah, blah. I think they were very well done. And I think it shows the human side of it, right? Because these guys are all reacting in a very human way and all that stuff. And to sum it up, it's like, again, they could have done better, but you can always say that about any film. They could have done better. They could have also done way worse, and they didn't do that. So it's very middle of the road for me. Honest to God, I'm going to give it a 6.5. So, not terrible.
Not terrible.
Not
great. But it's not a 5.
Yeah.
Not good. Not great.
No.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch it. It's a really cool film. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think
it's not a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is like I think unlike a lot of our middle of the road films, it tends to be like, you could or you could not watch it and you're fine. This I do think you should watch. 100%.
I'd recommend it. Yep.
If doing this real quick. All right. That's not fucking right. All right. Failed that one. All right. Hold on. I can do this. I graduated college. Maybe kind of. Maybe sort of.
Ryan.
Let's see. 6.83. So let's do a 6.8.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yep.
But yeah. I'm not sure what we're doing now next to Pipeline, but I'm sure it will be fun nonetheless, like the rest of them have been. We haven't had.
It's cool. It's cool to watch different things like this too, from like foreign production companies and like about a very niche subject. I love it.
Yeah,
It's fun.
things we usually don't see.
Well, a lot. I mean, I think a lot of the more fun reviews that we do, or I think the more kind of, the more out there. Not have to do with the war, just the more out there kind of countries like Latvia, Estonia, Denmark, Finland.
One of my favorite episodes we did was an ungentlemanly act about
Yes,
that
was a great.
That was a great one. Something
yeah.
Again about something that's very foreign to us, but very interesting and well done.
Mm-hmm.
It's niche, but it was a very important geopolitical event, and it's like. So was this because the Baltic states gaining what they thought was their independence after the First World War, and Poland too. It didn't last long. Then they were under Soviet rule until the late 80s. And so they go through all this shit fighting for Russia. They do their thing, and so it's something that's very important on the geopolitical map of the 20th century history. But it's just never covered, and that's why I love films like this. And it's like. We're grading the film itself, not the subject matter, and that it was presented to us cool, that's part of it. But the fact that it's presented and it's out there, fucking awesome. So
yeah, they were independent until 1940. So
yep, and then yep,
yeah, we all know
which is
there.
again, it's funny. I saw the Red Scare kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, well, that's when Latvia is part of Russia, right? No. And I went, oh, right, that's another 20 more years. It's because I always fade that interwar in my head to being so much more closer together in time events and stuff like that. And so, no, it's yes, I know that, duh. But it was just funny to see it in film and then go, oh, right, there's another 20 more years before that even happened. So, yeah, I think it more pertains to the teasing of the Red Scare and coming back in and out again. Very interesting, very good film. I thought, it has its point, it had its problems, but I liked it a lot. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope we'll. No, that's not right.
I hope we'll do another one.
I hope we'll be around next week. Yeah. No.
We'll hope we'll be around.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you on next week's episode.
Fuck you, Brian.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.